ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಿಸ್ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಮದುವೆ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮತ್ತೆ ದಿನ ಸಂಜೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗೋರು, ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ಹಣೆಗೆ ವಿಭೂತಿ ಹಚ್ಚೋರು. ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು. ಆ ವಿಭೂತಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದಾಗಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮಿಬ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಬಂದು ನಾವು ಒಂದಾಗ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ತಮ್ಮನ ಮಗಳನ್ನ ತಂದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇತ್ತು. ಏನೋ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ these are some of the common statements we hear in matters where emotions are involved. But my topic today is not about the supernatural forces. It's about the superpower that is the human brain. See, we all know there are billions of cells. They interact with each other to make us how we talk, how we respond, how we react. Everything is governed by this brain, right? We say mediation is a party centric process, party autonomy process, parties decide the outcome. Everything depends on party. The whole mediation process is party based. When that is so, we call mediation as a human decision making process. So if the mediator is capable of understanding the brain, he can understand, the mediator can understand what is happening inside the party. Why is party thinking the way party is thinking? Why is the party taking this kind of decision? Why is the party reacting like this? And sometimes settlements which are ruled out completely by all possible efforts also becomes possible in mediation. So once the brain is understood by the mediator, mediator can guide the parties from conflict to consensus. So that is the topic today, understanding the brain. See, as mediators, we have been mediating for several years, hundreds of cases, varieties of matters. But still some of the questions remain unanswered to us. Like, this was the best proposal the party got. But still, party knew that before no court of law, such a relief can be obtained. But even then, the party walked out of the proposal. Question remains like that. We have no answer. In many cases, we see well-educated parties, learned parties, very well settled, but they don't have logical thinking. They behave in an irrational way. They know what the facts are, they know what is the point of law. In spite of everything, they fight on every issue. Why? None of us, in spite of several years of practice as mediators, we don't have an answer. Say, for example, we see these two lines, one with an inward arrow, the other one with an outward arrow, A and B. Supposing we ask which line is longer, is A longer or B longer? Each one of us will have different views. Some may say A is longer, some may say B is longer. So the conflict is also like that. Facts remain same, law is same, but how it is perceived by each party is what matters. The perception depends on experiences and expectations. The conflict triangle we see, people, process, problem. Each person, based on their experiences, their past interactions, their past pains and suffering, they view the facts in their own way. What does a mediator do? What do? We do not change the facts. We do not change the perceptions also. We change the way the parties perceive the facts from other point of view. The very familiar example that we have been, listening to, viewing 6 from one angle looks like 6. From the other angle, it looks like 9. So how you perceive, entire thing depends on how the parties perceive the fact. So how we perceive the fact, as I said, there are billions of cells that interact and coordinate with each other. But especially when it comes to decision making issue in the human brain, these are the two parts, that is the cortex, that is the prefrontal brain, and the amygdala. Amygdala is like the shape of a almond, a very small one, but a very active one. We see in some of the cases, parties are very balanced. In spite of the reaction, the worst reaction from the opposite side, they do not they do not react. They are very balanced. They are very balanced. Okay. Uh, 1 second. Let me. They are very balanced. They don't react. They don't respond. They take their own time in deciding on the things. And some people we see, they hop and jump like school children for every small issue. I need someone's help. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. As I was saying, some people hop and jump like school children, irrespective of their age, for every small issue. Their action is always on the verge of jumping, screaming, yelling. Okay. Why does it happen? Why do we come across two different kinds of people? There are two, all are human beings, but some are more balanced and some are hyper, irrational. So that when when the person is under the influence of cortex, the rational brain, the person is more logical in thinking, they give time, they understand the facts, they do not jump at conclusions, they try to solve the problems. They're not in a rush to give their views or opinions. They're not in a rush to negotiate on any issue. Whatever the decisions they make a very balanced decision, and they do not react for any circumstances. They control their emotions. So that means to say they are under the guidance of cortex. When cortex is active, the person is very logical in thinking. We might have seen in mediations, irrespective of the proposal before them, they are very cool and calm. They take their own time in deciding the fact. But whereas some people are not so, they're just opposite to what I said the earlier. Like, that's because they are under the influence of the amygdala. Amygdala is like alarm system in our brain. It keeps scanning continuously. Say, for example, if we are walking, consciously, unconsciously, we are so particular to see, is there a pit, is there a am I going to sleep? This things comes unconsciously because our amygdala is in action. It keeps scanning whether I am safe, whether I am being cheated, whether am I losing. So these things are being scanned by amygdala. The person unconsciously keeps checking on these things. So when we relate it to mediation, when the person feels that there is a threat to him, there is a threat to him, he is not in a safe position, he is in a position where there is the other person is trying to take advantage of it, such circumstances they react very violently. When they react violently, what happens generally, their voice becomes louder. We might have observed when person raises his voice in temper, his his hand starts trembling, and the tone is also a bit shaky. Sometimes they're fidgeting their fist continuously. These are the symptoms that we see in a person who is on high in temper. They start for no reason. They can talk calmly, they can slowly discuss, but for no reason they start raising their voice. their heartbeat increases. When once they do all this, their logical thinking comes down. They do not know what they are saying. Many a times, ಕೋಪದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ಐ ಡಿ ನಾಟ್ ಮೀನ್ ಇಟ್. ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತಾಗಿ ನಾ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ಜಗಳ ಆಡುವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ನಾನು ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅವಳನ್ನ ನಿನ್ನ ಕೊಂದು ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಕೊಲ್ಲಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. It is out of anger, I have said, because the person has lost his logical thinking. He do not know what he is saying, what is the consequences of his act. And they stop listening to what the other person says. They only concerned about blaming the other side. So this happens when the amygdala hijacks the human brain. The person goes into that mode. So when this happens, what the party either adopts the response of flight, fight, or freeze. ಓಡೋಗ್ಬಿಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಜಗಳಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು, ಇದಿಷ್ಟು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ನ ನಾವು ಮೀಡಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ದ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್, ದೇ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಟು ಫ್ರೀಸ್ ಮೋಡ್, ಏನೋ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ದೇ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಕ್ಔಟ್. ಆರ್ ಮೊಮೆಂಟ್ ಅ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಿವನ್, ದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ arguing, they start fighting, they start accusing, blaming, everything will start. So the person goes into one of these modes when there is a amygdala hijack. We see this image. When someone tries to punch us, without knowing, being unaware of the situation, we try to avoid the punch or we try to punch them back. This is a action and reaction that takes place. Similarly, in mediation also, if one person accuses, if one person raises his voice, one person starts blaming, the entire scenario gets disturbed. The other person also reacts in the same manner. They start counter accusing, blaming, everything. Sometimes we have even witnessed fist fight all starts. So in such situation, how the mediator has to handle it? Basically, we should recognize the sign of fight. Why is the person reacting in this way? So at that moment, he has to calm down, calm and composed. When the person is in a very rash and erratic behavior, give time to the person. Whatever the person tries to say, listen to it. Listen to it with empathy. No sympathy, no apathy. Just listen to it with empathy. Slow down the interaction. Do not be in rush. ಆಯ್ತು ಹೇಳಿ, ಅವರು ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಕಿರ್ಚ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಆಸ್ ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರೇಸ್ ಅವರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇ ಸೇ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಮ್, ಕಂಪೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ದೆಮ್ ಎ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. And you re-engage rational thinking, guide the discussion. You bring the party back to the discussion mode. So when the party goes into the fight mode, mediator has to be very cautious. So this is a flight mode. In many partition suits we have seen, moment the proposal is given, ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವನೇ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನನ್ಗೇನು ಬೇಡ, ಎದ್ದೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. Can we as mediators also run behind them and say, come, sit and negotiate? No, we can't do that. So we need to recognize in what. Normally, that's the reason we always exchange proposals in the caucus, so that their action and reaction is within between us only. So in such situations, what the mediator need to do is acknowledge party's emotion as usual. Irrespective of any kind of emotion, you acknowledge party's emotion. Then avoid pressurizing the party to speak or make immediate decisions. ಹೇಳಿ, ಏನಿವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೋತೀರಾ, ಒಪ್ಕೋತೀರಾ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಪ್ಕೋತೀರಾ? ನೋ, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಪುಟ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್. Allow pauses and silence. We have been doing that. Use silence strategically. We have been repeatedly said. Give a pause and a little silence and slowly ask open-ended questions. Avoid asking interrogatory questions or probing questions, or ask only open-ended questions so that the party will vent all his emotions, and break complex issues into smaller manageable discussions. If there are too many things, take one after another and reassure the party that participation is voluntary. We would have said that in the opening statement and again say that in the Whenever the situation arises, it is your choice, your decision. There is no force or compulsion. So it is a voluntary process. So the decision is in your hands. Assure them and help the party to re-engage with the process. Then we can see this freeze mode. Many a times when the one-time settlement figure is disclosed, party automatically goes into freeze mode. There will be always a thing like, if this amount is paid, I will cooperate for the closure of the DV case or whatever it is, where his mother, his sister are all parties. He is in a freeze mode. Can I arrange such kind of a figure? Or how will I protect my the female members in the family? Such situations, the parties go into freeze mode. So what mediator again has to recognize the emotional shutdown. Why is the party quiet? Is it because the reasons best known to him? Let us not ask, let us not put pressure, let us take him slowly. Allow time and silence. Again, silence used strategically. Ask simple and open-ended questions. More and more you ask open-ended questions, more and more you will gather the information. What is his financial background? What is his financial ability? Why is he quiet? Is he capable of meeting the demand? Or he wants some negotiation like that? Break the discussion into small manageable steps. Encourage the party to express even small thoughts. Do not overlook, do not set aside whatever the party wants to say. You give him a chance, and then summarize and validate what the party has shared to build confidence and engagement. Once you summarize, party will feel that the mediator has heard and understood the manner he wants to be understood. So he feels validated and he will re-engage into the process. So when the person is in fight mode, his behavior will be arguing, blaming, threatening, and rejecting the proposals. Why does he do so? Because the brain is trying to protect itself by confronting the perceived threat. This is all the involvement of the brain here. Then, if the party is in flight mode, he avoids meetings, withdraws, refuses to engage, everything. Then, why does the party do so? Protect itself by escaping the perceived threat. Freeze mode. The person will be silent, indecisive, and emotionally numb, because the brain tries to protect itself by shutting down until the person feels safe. So this is where the brain acts and plays an important role in decision making process of the parties. We see this image. One person yarns here, unknowingly everybody will start yarning. It is not intentional, it happens. Why it happens? Because our brain has the ability to observe what it sees. We see this image. There is panic. One person is running. Nobody knows the reason why he is running, but everybody starts following. Everybody starts running behind him. We see these scenarios. For example, Jagdish from that room pushes one or two chairs and starts running outside towards the gate. We do not know why he's running. Is there a how? Is there a benki? Nothing. We'll also start pushing the chairs and starts running. Why? Because fear spreads rapidly through observation. When we see something is happening, everybody starts get scared. So when we connect this to mediation, when one party raises voice, others also raise their voice. In the opening statement, mediator always says there each one should not use any abusive language. Anything to be addressed, you address it to me. All these things, the ground rules, we repeatedly keep saying and also keep reminding them whenever the situation arises. Why? Because why do we do that? Because if one party starts raising his voice, one party starts yelling, one party starts shouting, the other party also reciprocate. When one party does that, the other party becomes defensive. One is defensive. ನಾನು ಈ ಆಫರ್ಗೆ ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಈ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ಗೆ ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಬೇಕು, ನಾನು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ that defensive mode is common. That also spreads rapidly. One person shows anger, emotion spreads across the room. Therefore, we can understand that emotions, body language, tone of voice, patience, and respect, they are all contagious. We always say mediator should be calm, composed, should be neutral, listen to both the parties. Why do we say that? Because mediation is not only exchange of words. In mediation, mainly emotions are exchanged than words. Parties, they don't only listen to what the mediator is saying, but they mirror the mediator. Mediator also starts shouting, jumping, yelling, raising his voice. Even the parties follow the same. Irrespective of the situation, if the mediator is calm and composed, the parties are also calm and composed, because our brain mirrors the action of the other person. If the conflict spreads, even the calm also spreads. ತಾಳ್ಮೆಯಿಂದ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ತಾಳ್ಮೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಬ್ಬರು ಕಿರ್ಚಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕಿರ್ಚಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So we can see this image where mediator so nicely, calmly, composed, respectful seating position. And even the parties also follow the same. Then, coming to see, our brain not only mirrors, our brain also has the ability to adopt and create connections in response to new experiences, learning, reflection, and behavior. We are the best examples. We graduated as law students. Immediately after graduation, we got into court work. Once you are an advocate, you have that assertive tone, argumentative nature, your body language, your tone, everything is different. We would have practiced as advocates for 1 or 2 decades, then we were taken as mediators. When we became mediators, the first topic taught to us was unlearn and learn. Unlearn to be an advocate and learn to be a mediator. Why? Because both the behaviors are poles apart. As an advocate, what do you do? What you showcase? It's just contrary to that as a mediator. Even now, so we have, our brain has adopted to the change so much that at 12 o'clock we appear before the court, and at 2 o'clock we sit in the mediation. Moment we sit in the mediation at the center, and then two parties on the either side, we automatically we get into that act of mediation. We don't argue with the parties. Our body language changes, our tone changes. There's a complete change in our behavior or outlook, anything for that matter. But as advocates, if we are like that, only listening, being empathetic, then the party will think, ಏನ್ ನಮ್ ಲಾಯರ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ವಾ, ಏನ್ ನಮ್ ಲಾಯರ್ is not fit ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊತಾರೆ. So as an advocate, what we have to do, we do it. As a mediator, what we have to do, we do it. So our brain has the ability to adapt to the changes. So brain is not fixed, so it is flexible, and it changes with the experience. Conflict can change the brain. Similarly, respectful conversation can also change the brain. ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಆದ್ರೆ ಗಲಾಟೆನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡವ್ರು ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮುಂದೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಮಾತು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೇಡಿ, ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮುಂದೆ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ವೈ ಡು ದೇ ಸೇ ದಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ the brain, the children's brain, that they will absorb the same thing. Even we say that to our next generation: be polite before the children, use decent language, all these things. So why? Because the brain has the ability to absorb. How it matters in mediation? Many times we think the case has come for the second time, for the third time. ಇದೆಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಟ್ಲ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, 2-3 ಸತಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ಯಲ್ಲ, ಇವ್ರು ಸೆಟ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾರ? That question always is there in our mind. Okay, but in recently in the drive, we have settled, made agreements in so many RSS have got settled. Decades of fight, decades of litigation, not only in the court, even before the revenue authorities, before the police, ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ possible places ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಟಿಗೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಟು ಎ settlement. So we cannot rule out that once a litigant can will always be a litigant. There could be changes in him also. The negative patterns of thinking and reacting can be replaced with healthier ways of communicating. We keep telling parties, address, do not use unparliamentary language. Why do we say that? What they talk outside, moment they come out of the mediation room, still if they are in the same, carrying the same anger and frustration, we have seen the parties fighting in the corridor, using all kinds of languages and abuses against each other. But in the mediation room, the mediator controls the process and such thing will not happen. So healthier way of communicating is important, and repeated respectful dialogues help create new neutral paths. ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ನಡೆದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. Parties may decide on resolving the issues. Forgiveness and reconciliation are learnable process. Hope can replace helplessness. Parties realize they are not trapped by past conflicts. Till this generation, people go for litigation, fights. Eagle, the people have decided, I don't want to continue. Just as a initial step, they file the case, and everybody wants to settle it in mediation, want to close the matter. They do not want to carry it further. As I said, it takes away all the positives from our life. Then even small breakthroughs during mediation can trigger lasting behavioral changes. Normally we do when the people are in a rush, I mean people are in anger mode, they are not able to take a decision, we just give them time, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬನ್ನಿ. So the small breakthroughs also will help the parties to come to a decision. So mediators should never assume that a party is permanently rigid. You ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಇವ್ರು ಸೆಟ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಬರೋ ಹಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. Be patient with entrenched position. That patience is should be there with us throughout. Use questions that can promote reflection and help parties explore alternative perspectives. That we keep doing. ಏನು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದು reinforce constructive dialogue and encourage small shifts in thinking. These are all the things that mediator can adopt to handle a situation when it is in critical in nature. So the best thing the mediator can do is follow CALM model to provide psychological safety. The first step we start is meeting, greeting, seating. Why do we do that? To connect with parties. We have to connect with parties because we need to build the rapport. We can build the rapport by warm greeting, equal seating, and respectful introduction. So we are all taught this and we have been doing this. And then A stands for acknowledging. Acknowledge the emotions. Whatever the party wants to say, whatever the party is trying to express, whether it is good or bad, positive or negative, we are not sympathizing or we are not apathizing. Just be empathetic. Give him a chance to express himself, vent his emotions. See, emotions are like coiled spring. Once they start expressing, slowly, they get relieved and then they move towards what next. So acknowledge their emotions and listen. Listening is what we always do. Listening is only not what they speak and what we listen, what goes into our brain. We are not asking any questions when they are saying. Uninterrupted expression. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೋ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಿ. Only then the brain feels that, it is relieved of its pressure. Listen to the party and use silence strategically. It's not that the entire time we are listening, parties are talking and we are listening, we are quiet. No. Here and there we are restating and summarizing and then listening. We are using silence strategically. And then M stands for move forward. Shift gently towards future possibilities and invite exploration of interest. We give them a chance, come out with the options. Then the brain starts thinking, yes, I've said whatever I want to say. I have expressed everything. Mediator has heard it. Mediator has understood me. Then let me now think what next? How I can resolve the issue? How I can come to an understanding and close this conflict. So we need to follow this calm model. So mediator should consciously observe behavior before judging intention. Why is he not ready to sell the property, or why is he not ready to give divorce? Why is the person not ready to give the custody of the children to the other spouse? All these things, do not judge the possessive, greed, nothing like that. We are not judging the parties, we are only understanding what the intentions are, behavior and intentions, and recognize the party is in a fight, flight, or a freeze response. This is very important, we as mediators, to follow in which response the party is. Is he ready to sit for discussion? Is he avoiding discussion? What could be the intention behind avoiding, or why is he quiet? All this responses na analyze ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ನಾವು. Then avoid escalating emotional arousal. Someone is crying, ask too many questions and make the person cry. No. Whatever they want to say, whatever they are crying, whether they are screaming, yelling, shouting, just control the process, allow them to vent, so that you are giving them a chance to calm down. So, and avoiding emotional arousal. And then use silence as a regulating tool as usual. Create psychological safety throughout. Now, ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, this is a non-binding process. If you settle, it goes in the form of an agreement. If you don't settle, nothing, whatever the notes have made, will not become part of the record. So that safety's assurance is made to the party. Then the party opens up. When the party opens up, the mediator can understand and assist the parties to move further. We can see this. Once litigating siblings are all smiling, shaking hand, party is also smiling, and then the mediator is also smiling. So this will be the end result if the matter settles. This can happen if the mediator understands the brain behind the conflict. Why is the person behaving the way he is behaving? Why is the person avoiding? Why is the person reacting the way he is reacting? So our brain, ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟರ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸು, then they can navigate the mediation process by transforming emotional reactions into thoughtful conversation. Initially, nobody will be in a position, parties will not be in a position to talk or place proposals or give offers or negotiate on the offers, nothing. They only want to vent their feelings. They are emotional. As I said, mediation only emotions, exchange of words ginta exchange of emotions agate illi. So once the emotions are expressed, it is acknowledged by way of an empathy, then the conversation starts. So disputes into durable settlements. Disputes, it's not always disputes only. Disputes can also be concluded by way of settlement. Make the parties happy, mediator happy, and a conflict dispute comes to an end. Thank you all. So we still have time. If anything, anybody wants to add to it? Anybody wants to add to it?
Wants to add to it?
Freeze mode. All are
Freeze
in
mode.
freeze mode.
All are
Yes.
in freeze mode.
Lights on.
Lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I
I
understand.
know.
That's the
I
reason I have
understand. That's the
concluded.
reason I have
Because
concluded. Because
every day it's raining at
every
5
day
o'clock.
it's raining at 5 o'clock.
So people wants to
So
be in the
people
flight
want
mode.
to be in the flight mode.
Anything?
Anything?
Should we
Should
conclude?
we conclude?
Huh? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
First of all, I thank
First of
the
all, I thank the
Director and Deputy Director
Director
of
and Deputy
Karnataka
Director,
Mediation Center.
Karnataka Mediation Center.
I also thank
I
Registrar
also
General,
thank Registrar
Kalburgi and
General,
Dharwad Bench,
Kalburgi and Dharwad Bench,
mediators of Kalburgi
mediators
and
of
Dharwad Bench,
Kalburgi and Dharwad Bench,
and
and
I am
I
grateful and
am
thankful to our
grateful and
resource
thankful
person
to our resource
Jayashree
person
for
Jayashree
enlightening us
for
on the
enlightening
topic
us on the topic
invisible forces
invisible
behind
forces
every
behind
conflict
every
and why
conflict
people
and why
react,
people
resist
react,
and resolve.
resist, and resolve.
For many of us, it is a
For
new
many of
topic.
us, it is a new topic.
Thank you, Jayashree,
Thank you,
for
Jayashree,
being so
for
insightful
being so insightful
in this.
in this.
I also thank all
I
our
also thank
mediators
all our
for
mediators
being here.
for being here.
I thank the
I
staff
thank the
for
staff
helping us.
for helping us.
I also thank the
I also
technician,
thank the
Mr. Ravi.
technician, Mr.
Thank you
Ravi.
so much.
Thank you so
I
much.
also thank the
I
canteen
also
for
thank the
providing
canteen
us
for providing us
nice snacks,
nice snacks,
sumptuous snack.
sumptuous snack.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you,
God
one
bless.
and all. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.